Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Well, here we are. A full week of losses for the Mets. 7 straight L's as the collapse continues. The Mets are now tied in the loss column with both the Cincinnati Reds and the San Francisco Giants for the final wild card spot as they get trounced by the Rangers in the opening game of this final homestand at Citi Field. A dormant, empty, booing eventually Citi Field as the Mets give them absolutely no reason to show up over this past week after their play from this past week, that is, and they give them absolutely every reason to have not shown up tonight as this game was over before you could even put your ass in the seat. Jonah Tong gets absolutely abused by the Rangers as they score, count them, not 1, not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 runs off of him in the first inning, and the Mets have no fight back in them. They get a little closer, make it 6-3 in those middle innings, and then, like I've said so many times on these streams, you guys, it's going to be a different culprit every freaking night for who's going to spit the bit and blow the game wide open for them. And tonight happened to be Gregory Soto's turn to do that as he gives up the 2-run homer. And the Mets go down meekly the rest of the way, just the same as they did yesterday when Jesus Luzardo was mowing them down. Of course, the return of Jacob deGrom. But that's really kind of an afterthought in this. He gave them 7 quality innings, 3 runs. Mets able to cash in on a couple sac flies there, but you knew the Mets weren't coming back and winning this game. You knew as soon as Tong had the blow-up first inning that this game was over. And here we are. 7-game losing streak and not very far from being out of the playoff picture. The collapse has arrived. The collapse continues, and we are looking at a historically embarrassing performance from the 2025 New York Mets. Guys, what is up? I'm Tony Metro. Daily Mets content, post-game recap after every Mets game here on my channel. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already. Go ahead and leave this video a like right now if you've not done so. Really appreciate you guys doing that. You can follow me on all the other platforms as well, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Links to all of those are in the description below. You can also call into the show. You want to vent and tell me how pissed off and disgusted you are with this team? I welcome it. Please go to the Discord link also in the description down below of this video. That will put you in my waiting room, and when I'm ready to take your phone call, I will plug you in. I would love to hear what my fellow Mets fans have to say because you could probably hear it in my voice, guys. I'm apathetic at this point. I'm removed from it at this point. And I'll be honest with you, 2 things. One thing that you clearly can notice on the screen, usually I have my highlights right here. Nah, not today. You know why? Because I go through Twitter. I download all those highlights. I put them on my Adobe Premiere timeline. I'm giving you a little behind the scenes here. And then I put some graphics on it, some of the little video transitions. And you know what? I said to myself today, not doing it. I'm not doing it. I am not going to give effort that the Mets cannot give back to us as fans. So you know what? Today I just decided I'm not doing it. And so there were no highlights here in this box to my left. And I'll be also honest with you. After Tong is walking off that mound, failing to get out of the first inning, and it is 6-0, and Jacob deGrom is moments away from stepping onto Citi Field to pitch against the Mets for the first time since departing, I turned this game off. I listened to it in bits and pieces on the radio to Howie and Wayne Randazzo on the call, but I just wasn't going to do it to myself tonight. I was not going to watch it on my TV anymore. I got better things I can watch on TV. So I listened to a little bit of it on my radio and kept tabs on this game because the Mets have given me no reason to believe that they are winning any games in the future, that they are going to come back from down 6-0 in the first inning, and they have given zero effort. So why would I give it back in return as a fan? I am disgusted with this team. It is an absolute joke, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. Let's go to the chat. Armand, they lost. Big surprise. I turned the game off after going down 6-0. There you go, Armand. So you're right there with me, man. Big shocker. They lose after going down 6-0 in the first inning. You know what's funny? The Mets go up 4-0 on the Phillies last night, right? And what happens? The Phillies score 6 unanswered runs while the Mets don't get another base runner the rest of the game. Isn't that funny how that works? Wow. Who would have thought? You can come back after falling down into an early hole. Now, I know the Mets would not do that because the Mets have never proven once to us this year to have any gut in this team, any type of fight in this clubhouse. So there was no chance when it was 6-0. Heck, when it was 2-0 in the first inning, about as brutal a start as you can have, I knew the Mets were not coming back to win this game. Absolute embarrassment. Armand, glad that you and I are simpatico on this. John Rest and Tony Mendoza had over 3 months to fix this horse show. He needs to be fired now. Look, there's no firing Mendoza. He just got announced today from David Stearns. He's going to be back as the manager next year. The fact David Stearns even had to come out and say that here today is just unbelievable to me. But that is the case. I don't think that you can fire Mendoza. I'm sorry. Did Carlos Mendoza go out and give up 6 runs in the first inning? Did Carlos Mendoza not get a base runner yesterday from the second inning through the finale of the game on Thursday against the Phillies? Has Carlos Mendoza been the one in the batter's box or the bullpen arms coming out? I'm sorry, I can't put this all on the manager. Yeah, he needs to lead the clubhouse and get them going. He said it himself in his post-game interview yesterday. He said, I'm going to get them going. I question that because when? We're running out of time. We have been for a month now, Carlos. So if not now, then when? But how you could just solely blame the manager and fire him, especially now at this point in the season, forget it. It wouldn't turn this clubhouse around, and I really don't believe he's the problem in the clubhouse. These players have looked like garbage. None of them have played to the back of their baseball cards for almost the entirety of the season. Francisco Lindor has had his typical slumpy season, not like the MVP year he had last year. Juan Soto got off to a slow start, had a historic June, but has had his ups and downs. Pete Alonso has been quietly going downhill pretty much since June. Let's not beat around the bush, guys. Pete was fantastic the first 2 months of the year. He was hitting with runners in scoring position, everything that we didn't see from him last year. But quietly, let's be honest with ourselves, Pete has slowly been descending that mountain, and it's looking like, okay, yeah, a pretty good year, but a kind of front-loaded year from him. Brandon Nimmo is streaky. The bullpen, don't even get me started, or the starting rotation. I can't put this all on the manager. This team, these players have not performed. And of course, David Stearns' additions from the offseason and at the deadline simply have not panned out. They have simply been awful. Everybody outside of Tyler Rogers, and this includes the additions from the offseason, not named Juan Soto, of course, as we know, came here because of Steve Cohen's money, has been horrible. So fire the manager if you want. It doesn't change the fact that these guys have all had bad seasons. And how fitting for this game to end for Mark Vientos to just stare at a fastball right down the middle from former Met Phil Maton on 3-2. Just right down the middle. He knew it too. Just walked away. I mean, this team has no fight. This team has no guts. They have no balls. This team is defeated. I have said they had looked defeated for a long time. I now can say they are defeated. Absolute last 29 batters in a row, late 29 batters in a row since the last night have been retired. That's a perfect game +2. It's just, how is it possible that this team can go into as many team-wide slumps as they do? And it's in every part. It's the lineup that all collectively slumps. It's the rotation that all collectively goes into the gutter. It's the same for the bullpen. Like, I don't understand how this could be. And so in that theory, I kind of can understand, well, maybe the manager doesn't have them as well prepared as they should be. But it doesn't make sense. These are pros. These are freaking professionals making millions of dollars, most of them veterans. And they just don't have it. They just can't come together as a team. I just don't have any explanation for it, Abs. So David Diaz, he had a bad game, but the bats need to respond. But wait, I forgot those bats are dead. Yes, a bunch of dead wood in the Mets lineup. And I'm going to talk about Jonah Tong here. He was obviously really bad, but I am not going to put all the blame on Jonah Tong. And I'll get into that in a second. Let me go through the rest of the chat that we got here, though. Absol says Mets are now tied in the loss column with Reds and Giants. Yes, of course. So obviously we'll see what happens with the Reds and the Giants. We are going to be the biggest Dodger fans for the next 2 weeks because the Giants have them 7 times on their schedule in their remaining 15 games or wherever they are at for the rest of this season. So hate to say it, but let's go Dodgers, even though I absolutely despise them. But Red Bear Fox is hilarious that the day after Mendy says it's on him and he will turn it around, they score 3 runs and get embarrassed again. Yes, they do. And not just only score 3 runs and look lifeless at the plate, but then you have Jonah Tong having the day that he did. Gregory Soto coughing up a 2-run homer to put this one completely out of reach. I don't know what Mendy's supposed to do, to be honest, though. I mean, I guess a manager should. But again, these guys have all collectively failed at the individual level, and now it is looking like they are going to massively fail as a team and miss the playoffs. I don't see how it ends. I'm looking at a 10-game losing streak. They are on a 7-game skid right now with 2 more against the Rangers. And then, I don't even remember who is it, Washington after that maybe on Wednesday? I think that's who, or on Tuesday, I think that's who it is. We have a hard time beating the Nationals. So what would give you any confidence that the Mets are going to just start winning games here in the final 14 of the season when all they have done is find ways to lose all year long? But embarrassing. Red Bear Fox, you're not wrong, man. Mendy has said it's on him, but we have seen no changes whatsoever. So David Diaz says, and I see no live in Mendoza as well, like he's okay with this. No, I mean, I don't know what Mendy, again, is supposed to do, but he's been playing the even keel kind of role since he got hired as manager last year, even through the downs in the first half of 2024. I kind of liked that about him, but I've also said, sometimes you do want to go on the other side of being even keel. Sometimes you do need to go flip a table. Sometimes you do need to call your team out through the media and not just in a closed meeting or whatever it is that he may or may not do that we as fans are not privy to. But something has got to give, and they're running out of time, and I just don't see this turning around. Absolutely, unlike the Mets, the Rangers gave DeGrom run support. How embarrassing is that, right? To have Jonah Tong, who everybody was saying a glimpse of the past and into the future, DeGrom versus Tong, and we all know how the Mets treated Jacob DeGrom when he pitched. Absolutely no run support, losing 1-0 gems from him to the frickin' Marlins or to the Nationals over the years. And here he comes out, gets 6 freaking runs in the first inning. It's poetic. It really is. It is poetry in motion for that to happen the way that it did against us in his return to Citi Field. Just rock bottom. Doesn't begin to define where this team and where this franchise is right now in this very moment, you guys. Jose Lopez Moya says, has anybody found out where the whereabouts of Stingy Stearns? Why doesn't he show his face? He just had a press conference this afternoon, and he confirmed that Carlos Mendoza is back as manager next year. So if you want to hear from Stearns, then go to Twitter and go watch, or YouTube and watch Stearns' press conference. That was about the biggest takeaway from this today. Otherwise, it was a bunch of GM coach speak of we got to be better, we know we got a good team and all that bull crap. So here we are, not getting better, continuing to lose games and lose the 3rd wild card spot in the National League. Oh boy, guys, go ahead, leave this video a like if you have not done so already. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Subscriber count's been going up big time. I really appreciate that from you guys. We are growing exponentially here, and it's thanks all to you guys, great Mets and baseball fans. So really appreciate you guys riding out this horrible, terrible tsunami of a collapse for the 2025 Mets, as painful as it is. Let's see. Red Bear Fox says Mendy just doesn't have a clue how to do it. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know how he would do it, but he obviously hasn't done it because this team is just dead as a doorknob. I've really, truly never seen a collapse like this. I mean, obviously 2007, but that happened really fast. This has just been a long, just merciless stab into the heart, twist and turn back and forth with this team. This is the 3rd 7-game losing streak that the Mets have had in 2025. How is that even freaking possible with the roster that we assembled in the offseason? What we did last year, going on that amazing run in the second half. I I just don't know how to explain it, guys. I'm out of words, and yet I'm here talking about them. It's crazy. Joe says, not surprised to lose to DeGrom. Me neither. Just surprised that Jonah Tong would give up 6 runs in the first inning. I mean, not what we were hoping to see out of what we would like to be our future ace or one of the top line starters in this rotation. And let's be honest, guys, Tong looks overwhelmed in the big leagues. I'm just going to say it. And so I don't put this game on Jonah Tong because it is unfair that Tong and even McNeil and Sproat are in the situation that they are in, where they are being relied upon to be saviors for this team of veterans that are making millions upon millions and millions of dollars. It is unfair that Tong needs to go out there and be freaking perfect if he wanted to get this team off of a 6-game losing streak and keep them in position to win a playoff spot in the National League. He looks overwhelmed, but you know what? Either he wasn't ready already at this point in his career, or maybe the pressure, would you think, is too much for a 22-year-old to put this team of sluggish, lackluster, just totally lifeless, bloated veterans on his back. So if you want to call Jonah Tong out for this game, and I know none of you are, but I'm saying anyone that does, tell him exactly what I just said. It is despicable that this veteran group of players that should be leading this team is now needing to rely on these 3 rookie pitchers to be nearly perfect on a night in and night out basis for them to win games. Because if it's not the lineup that doesn't get them enough run support, like Nolan McNeil starting game 1 against the Phillies on Monday, then you know what? It's the bullpen blowing the game for them because they didn't score enough runs, or because Tong didn't go into the 7th inning, which seems about the only way for them to bridge an easy gap to Edwin Diaz in the 9th. I'm disgusted by it. It's absolutely embarrassing, and that's what I have to say about the subject. Jose says Tong needs to start next season at AAA. Not ready. He's not. And again, I go back to he's probably not ready, and he's also probably got a lot of weight on his shoulders as a freaking 22-year-old that started the season in AA and had only 2 starts in AAA this year. He'll probably start the year in AAA. I can't discredit the kid. I can't barrage him with any, shade or any insults because it's just not fair what the Mets have done to him and the other 2 rookies, having to rely upon them to save their freaking season. Give me a break. $365 million freaking dollars to the rest of these veteran losers. And this is what we're getting. Unbelievable. David says, my mom feels like you. She's done. I'm done, man. Emotionally, I'm checked out. Like I said, I'll still watch the games. It's like watching a train wreck at this point. You just can't look away. You just can't look away at this point. So I will continue to watch and torture myself. I will continue to do my streams here, and hopefully you guys will join. But I am emotionally checked out, emotionally devoid of watching the 2025 Mets at this point. And like I said in last night's stream, if they go to the playoffs, great. Okay. Probably a first round exit, swept in 2 games by the Dodgers, who would probably be their most likely opponent at this point. And if they don't make the playoffs, well, writing's been on the wall for a long time. So wouldn't be surprised. Let's see. Jose says, does anybody believe the Mets will win at least 1 game before the season ends? It does not feel that way. Red Bear Fox 3-2 in an 8-3 game and a fastball down the middle surprises Vientos. What an effing moron. That's just the whole team. Their heads are up their collective ass. They just don't have any approach at the plate. They don't seem to have a good approach to pitching. How many more 2-out bloop hits are going to fall in against us this year? How many more 2-out, 2-strike pitches are going to be hangers down the middle? I mean, how many more are we going to throw breaking balls on 3-2 pitches where you can't afford a walk and you actually maybe hit a batter like Clay Holmes did to force in a run the other day? You just can't make it up at this point, man. There's no approach. There is no plan for this team. And as much as we have liked Jeremy Hefner and credited him for the pitching lab and all that, we all wanted Jeremy Barnes and Eric Chavez fired for their roles as hitting coaches. But I'm sorry, Jeremy Hefner is going to need to be audited as well at the end of this season, because the way this pitching staff has collapsed is just unbelievable stuff. Let's see. Nico says, Mendoza stinks. I'm tired of saying it. Guys, I don't know. I don't know if you could have brought back Bucky Dent. I think he was a manager. I don't care. Just picking your favorite manager of all time. I don't think it would turn this team around. I'm sorry. Billy Martin. Maybe Billy Martin, because he would go in there and he would be flipping tables and throwing chairs. Maybe that is what this team needs. Whatever is happening in that clubhouse, man, I can't imagine the vibes. I can't imagine the vibes. And you know what? I'll give a little bit of credit to Jeff McNeil here, guys, because he gets thrown out of this game after getting rung up on a pitch. And it's surprisingly the first ejection of Jeff McNeil's career, which is shocking, honestly. But at least he shows like he still cares. And we have gotten on Jeff a lot over the years for being a hothead, for being a baby, throwing his equipment. But at least he's showing he gives a shit. Because I don't see that in the faces of any of these other players on this roster. So credit to Jeff McNeil. Unfortunately, it doesn't get us a win. Danny Cap says, John Reston. It seems like there's some more than meets the eye with Vientos looking at pitch right down the middle for strike 3. Real weird. And honestly, the way he kind of just walked it off, it's almost like I didn't see a smile, so I'm not going to say that. But it really did look like he was like, yo, let's just get this over with. I'm done. Like, I'm out. It really did kind of look that way from Swaggy V after taking that pitch right down the middle and the game ending. It kind of felt like he was just like, whatever, we're down 8-3. I got 2 strike count. I literally don't care that it was right down the middle. Like, I do kind of get that vibe. I kind of hear you there, John. Danny Cap's tongue is an all choke up, third 7-game losing streak of the season. It is the third 7-game losing streak of the season, but I will not tolerate any tongue, whatever you want to call it, any type of tongue disparaging, because I can't blame the 22-year-old for not pitching a great game when the Mets are on a 6-game losing streak and the rest of the veterans on this team look like crap. But Sandman, 2026 season tickets will now include a case of Jack Daniels. Yes, let's go. I'm all in it, baby. That'll be me and Jack, my best friend, sitting at Citi Field. Sandman, what's up? I hope you're doing well. He says, hi, Tony. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Guys, if you do want to call into the show, you can do so. You can go to the link in the description for Discord. That'll put you into my waiting room there, and I will plug you in when I'm ready to take calls. So the phone lines are open. If you guys want to call in, go ahead, jump into Discord. Link is in the description of this video. I'll continue to monitor that. David Diaz, they're not making the playoffs. It really does feel like they are not making the playoffs at this point. I just don't know how they turn it around. How are they going to beat the Rangers, who are now gunning for first place in the AL West? How are they going to beat the Padres, who swept them in San Diego a couple of weeks ago? How are they going to beat the Cubs at Wrigley Field, who are the top National League wildcard team? And even, let's just talk about it, the Mets have played like dog crap for the most part against the Marlins and against the Nationals this year. So there's no guaranteed W's on this schedule whatsoever. Forget it. I don't know, man. I don't even know if they win another game the rest of the way. They might not even finish over 500, and they have 76 wins. They had 76 wins a week ago today. A week ago today, when Edwin Diaz walked the tightrope out of that bases loaded no-out jam in the 9th inning, they were at 76 wins, and they have lost every effing day since then. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you have young kids at home, if you have grandkids, whatever you have in your life, that is the way you can teach them the days of the week. On Monday, the Mets lost. On Tuesday, the Mets lost. On Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can make a little song. You know, I'm a little tone deaf, so that one probably didn't sound so good, but you could literally teach your kids the days of the week, because the Mets have lost on every single one of them for this past one. Unfreaking real. Let's see. Danny Cap says, I still say Mendy's lost the locker room. It does kind of look like that at this point. It really does, man. It's a possibility. I don't know that. I don't know or are privy to that information. If it comes out that he did, then yeah, I am all for getting rid of him, but I'd like to see there be a little bit more continuity and the ability to build some culture in this organization for once. So I thought Mendy did a great job turning them around last year, and I'm sorry, it started with the players. It started with Mendy putting Lindor at the top of the order leading off, and the players performed better, and it wasn't solely because of Lindor getting moved to the leadoff spot. Obviously, his individual season skyrocketed from there, but Mendy had proven last year he was a great manager for the most part. Yeah, you're not going to agree with every manager's bullpen decisions, but at the same time, How could you pin it all on the manager when the guy's not even in the batter's box? When the guy got 0 worthwhile additions at the deadline, and unless you want to count Tyler Rogers, who he can so seldomly use because this team is rarely in a position to hold a lead or to keep a game close because it's already a blowout because of the crap starting rotation that this general manager configured. It is a catch-22 to just simply put it all on Mendy, but if he lost the clubhouse, that is obviously grounds for a conversation about his job status. Yeah, I will give you that. But until we definitively know and hear that, I can't just simply put it on the manager. The players have not done their jobs. Has the manager been perfect? Absolutely not. The general manager had a big swing and a miss between the offseason and the deadline. But I have to put the blame on the guys in the batter's box, the guys on the mound, the guys in the field. And that's where I stand on it. I've said that many times. I know you guys feel or know how I feel about it. Red Bear Fox Tong does not need to start next year in AAA. Just needs time to adjust and barely mixing in his secondary pitches. Yeah, I mean, look, I think he probably will start the year in AAA next year. Who knows? He might have, 2 more starts the rest of the way if he's not removed here out of the rotation, which I don't think they would do. That would really potentially mess up his confidence and psyche moving forward throughout his career. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does start the year in AAA, but he's got to get away from the heavy fastball usage. I think it was 50% of his 40 pitches in the first today that were all 4-seamers. You're not going to get away with that against big league pitching, and the book was out on him. Just what the Reds did, fastball hunting, just absolutely going for him, and it's just a terrible, terrible bad start for him, and it comes on the heels of giving up 3 home runs to Cincinnati over last weekend. So we'll see what happens with him. Red Bear also says Tong's got big league stuff, just needs to learn how to use it. Yeah, I agree with that. Has big league stuff, needs to learn how to use it. Do you let him try to learn that in the big leagues, though, or do you let him try to learn that in AAA and force him to get out of his comfort zone a little bit more than knowing he could just blow fastballs up in the zone again by those young AAA hitters? So I don't know, a conversation to have for next year. We'll see what happens. See if the Mets are coming off an epic collapse of a season here in 25. Guys, go ahead, leave this video a like if you've not already. Really appreciate that. Like I said, phone lines are open. If you want to call in and vent about the Mets, tell me how disgusted you are with them, you could do that. Go to Discord. The link to that is in the description of this video below, and I'll take your calls whenever you guys hop in. Let's see. David Diaz, no Tong bashing. It's all about bashing is the word I was looking for. Thank you, David Diaz. No Tong bashing. It's about the rest of the team. Again, that's what I said. The fact that these 3 rookies are being looked at as saviors to save the $365 million bloated payroll of old, washed, over-the-hill veterans that look like they don't give a crap if they win or lose or if they blow an epic lead in their playoff picture. I put it on those dudes. I'm sorry. 6 runs, you're not going to win tonight's game, but I can't put it on Jonah Tong for being put in the position that he's been put in. He's put in a position to fail. McNeil has stepped up to the occasion, and I applaud him, but I will not give the thumbs down to Jonah Tong for that. I just won't. Hopefully we don't have any disruptions here as my alarm is going off. There you go. You guys got a nice little look at my apartment maybe just now. I don't know. Let's see. Hopefully you guys still can see me on camera. Yeah. All right. We're working on things, making sure everything is up to snuff here. Let me know if you guys can still see me. There we go. Yeah, you guys got me right here. Hold on. Let's just make sure. Is the technical difficulties in Tony's studio here. All right, we're back. Here we go. Sorry about that, guys. Had an alarm probably to go jump off my roof after the Mets game that was going off on my phone, so I apologize about that. But back to the chat we go. Mark Rapp, what's up, Mark? How's it going? Tong's getting paid to do a job. You can't just let him off the hook. No excuse for all those walks. I mean, he's getting paid peanuts, like maybe a few $100,000 or whatever the league minimum is for a rookie. I'm sorry. I just, again, I think he's been put in a position to fail like the rest of the other 2 rookie starters. So I'm sorry. I can't blame Jonah Tong. Obviously, it's an inexcusable start. You're not going to win when you give up 6 runs in the first inning and can't even get out of the opening frame. But again, I just think it's unfair to pin it on these 22, 23-year-old kids when the rest of the veterans making buku bucks. Can't seem to show any fight or life for over a week. And this is the third time this year the Mets have had a week-long losing streak. How does that happen to the team with the highest payroll in all of baseball? Explain it to me like I'm 5. It just doesn't add up, man. Something's got to be wrong in this clubhouse. Stanley Babbage says Stearns will be in the hot seat if the Mets miss the playoffs. I don't think he will be. Look, we need to ride it out with Stearns and hope that he's going to continue to develop a self-sustaining farm system, but clearly there need to be some big changes to this core. So if they miss the playoffs again next year, then the conversation can be had about Stearns. But Stearns and Mendoza, in my opinion, have to be here next year. And that is not because they have done such a fantastic job here in 2025, but because we got to give them that time, at least a third year, in my opinion. Let's see. Stanley Babbage also says we could have had Bader back instead of Mullins. I mean, I have said that until I'm blue in the face about instead of getting Mullins, getting Harrison Bader, and all Harrison Bader is doing is hitting 380 for the Phillies and killing us. What are you gonna do, right? Let's see. A little bit earlier, Joe says if Pete Rose was managing this team, he would bet against them. God, Joe, I love it. Pete Rose was managing the 2025 Mets. He'd bet against them. I'm going to tweet that, Joe. And if I see that it takes off, I'm going to give you the credit for that. But that is amazing. I love that. That is a nice one, Joe. Mark Rapp. Oh, and it's dead as a doornail, not doorknob. But that's at least of my worries. Okay, doorknob, doornail. What the hell? What even is a doornail? I don't even know. Is that like the thing, the stopper on the floor? What a doornail? I really don't even know. Or is it that's a knocker, the thing on there, right? What's a doornail? Please let me know, Mark Rapp. But you know what I friggin' mean. This team sucks. That's what I'm trying to get at. So let's see. Salmon Games, as per SMY, Stearns has reached out to Jeff Torborg. No, not Jeff Torborg. I didn't know a whole lot about the 92 Mets because obviously I was not born yet. And I did my video that you guys can watch later on the 92 Mets, the worst team money could buy. We, of course, know that the 2002 Mets were the second edition, the 20th anniversary, and it's looking like we might have a 40th, 30th, I don't even know, anniversary of the worst team that money could buy, volume 3 here in 2025. But Jeff Torborg was the manager for that 92 team and then got fired after 1993 or in the middle of 93. I can't remember, but go ahead, watch that video after that. It's on my channel. I appreciate it. But Jeff Torborg's back, guys. Let's see. Or Willie Randolph. Willie should have got another shot, man. Willie got hosed by the Mets in 2008. I think he should have got another shot at managing. It really upsets me, but I am glad to see the Mets have kind of extended a olive branch to him and brought him back to be, kind of an ambassador for the organization still and participate in events at Citi Field. But let's see. Red Bear Fox, here comes the clowns. 2020 hindsight comments about Bader. Oh, well, I guess it's tough. Some people don't want to pretend like just bringing back the whole group from 2024 was the move, but there was some magic in it. I've said it. I've been on record. There's no trying to recreate magic or recatch lightning in a bottle, and so I was okay with moving on from the Baders and Iglesias. Would have loved to have brought Severino back, but it looks like those guys that were on the margins of the roster last year were a lot more important than we may have actually thought. And I don't know if it would have changed the way this team's going, because at the end of the day, the core, the big guys that need to get up every day and perform for this team have just not done the job. Let's see. Red Bear says, Tony, we have all seen managers get fired and a new manager turn the team around. Not saying fire many now, but a manager can absolutely lead guys to performing better. They can, 100%. Now it's too late. I'm sorry. Firing a manager at this point, it's too late. It's not happening, but I understand. And I've said it, guys, if they miss the playoffs this year, Carlos Mendoza begins 2026 on a burning red hot seat. And if they are not off to a good start, he is fired for me by May. If they are not 10 games over 500 by May next year, they are fired. And even if they are over 500, if they are not playing well, just like they were 21 games over 500 in May this year, but winning games in very just unconvincing fashion, then I might even still fire him. So I am all about doing that when the time calls for it, but I also can't just pin the blame on this dude for the rest of this team not performing to their own standards. But I get you. Michael Fowler says Walker Buehler, another great Dombrowski move. And you know what, man? The Phillies had 2 free agent pickups, essentially. Walker Buehler, who I don't know what he did, but I know the Phillies won 8-2 tonight in his debut with them. And then they picked up David Robertson for free off the free agent list. And instead, David Stearns, boy genius, decided he was going to trade a bunch of prospects for Ryan Helsley and Tyler Rogers and Gregory Soto. And while Rogers has been good, Soto and Helsley have really not been very good. Helsley has been absolutely tragic. Soto, at this point, I'm ready to just say, has been bad. So, yeah, thank you, David Stearns, when you could have just signed guys for free off the scrap heap. But, yep, Phillies just absolutely running circles around the Mets. They are now down 12 games in the division. I don't know if this team's going to even finish over 500 this year, man. Red Bear Fox alarm going off. You take your bird control bills, Tony. Red Bear, F you, bro. No, man, I told you that was my alarm to go jump off a cliff because I knew the Mets were going to lose this game, and it would be right around this time. So that's what it was. I apologize for the birth control pills. Jose says, remember, Tong is not a young Doc Gooden, so don't expect great things from him. I mean, look, I don't think any of us really expected him to give up 6 runs and not get through the first inning, but, you know, I also expected him to give us a little more than what we got from him tonight. But again, just an unfair position to put a 22-year-old in, along with McNeil and with Sprout, having to save this Mets season. It's just cruel. David Diaz says, I think Stearns broke for Soto and bargain shopped the rest of the offseason. I think that Steve Cohen basically forced David Stearns' hand to sign Juan Soto. I'm not saying that relationship is not good between Stearns and Cohen, but we know that Cohen had earmarked this paycheck for Soto 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whenever we knew that Soto was going to free agency. No matter what team he finished 2024 with, that was his white whale, his Moby Dick, if you will, and he was not going to be outbid for Soto. And while a lot of us probably think that it's a total overpay, he has been very good, but I also think that Cohen probably then said, well, we're very much over the luxury tax, so you can go this much more over the luxury tax. So while Cohen's not cheap, I do think that there was a line in the sand, and it may have affected the way that Stearns navigated the rest of this offseason with some cheaper signings. Unbelievable. I'm rewatching the play in the second. Pete trying to throw the ball over to Brazaban, who doesn't get over, isn't looking for the ball, nearly hits him in the head. This team is a joke. They're a comedy act. They just walk by each other in the dugout. They don't even make eye contact, Alonso and Brazaban. This team is dead. They're done. There's no chemistry. Something is just wrong in this clubhouse, man. I just can't believe this crap. It is just unfreaking believable. I know that's repetitive, but it's the case. Let's see. DMC, the core is cooked. Starter with new everyone except Soto and young arms. Well, we're going to hopefully see an influx of talent in the position player department next year. Carson Benj, maybe Ryan Clifford. Guys, I got news for you. I don't think Pete Alonso's back next year. I don't think that Stearns wanted to sign him in the first place this season. I think he's going to opt out of this contract, and the Mets just don't see him as a part of the future. At least Stearns doesn't. So I would not be surprised if if Alonso is gone. I would not be surprised if one of, or even probably 2 of Francisco Alvarez, Ronnie Mauricio, Brett Beatty, and Mark Vientos are all traded this offseason. I would not be surprised if David Peterson is traded this offseason. I think there are going to be major shakeups to this team, especially if they do in fact miss the postseason here in 2025. Paul Dejean says, pitching not throwing, can't stand watching this team. It's truly torture. I've never been more tortured by a Mets team in my life, because in all the other years that were down for the Mets, you know, the 2000s to early 2010s, even the late 2010s, they didn't come into those seasons with expectations. They didn't enter those years with World Series aspirations and with the highest payroll in Major League Baseball, and having just signed a player for $750 million. This team had all that hype around it and was coming off a run to Game 6 of the NLCS last year. And so for them to have played the way they have this season, to have 3 separate 7-game losing streaks this year, this is a true new and absolutely brutal form of torture that I have never before witnessed in my life as a New York Mets fan. Red Bear Jose Lopez says, once Iglesias was gone, so was the team chemistry. We have to admit it. I don't know, man. I'm sorry. If Jose Iglesias was still here, but the Mets and he was hitting 240, would we really all still be rallying around Jose Iglesias? I mean, I'm sorry. That's just the truth. He was performing last year, and yes, it was cool the things that he did and brought along with him with the singing and the dancing, and I'm sure it brought the vibes up in that clubhouse. But if he came back this year and was hitting 220 or 240 like he has been with the Padres this season, would we still be saying how great Jose Iglesias is? Would we still be pumped that he's back? A lot of us would probably be saying he was a one-year wonder last year, and I can't believe we signed him back, and we could have had Brett Beatty playing, and he's blah, 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 and I don't know. Primo 6, Alonso, Marte, Alvarez, Mullins, and Acuna gone for next season. That's pretty accurate. I think that's probably true, Prime. Alonso, I think, is gone because David Stearns probably does not want him back. He wants a long-term deal. The Mets are not going to give him that. So I would bet the house that Pete Alonso is not a New York Met next season, which is incredibly depressing, but is what it is. Starling Marte is a free agent. Clearly not back with this team. Cedric Mullins, a free agent. Goodbye. I will drive Cedric Mullins to whatever city he wants to go and live in. Wherever Cedric Mullins decides he wants to go play, I will put him on my back and walk him to that new team. And watch, guys, next year, Cedric Mullins playing for the Atlanta Braves, gonna clobber 5 home runs against us. It's like clockwork with this freaking franchise. Absol Cohen is proof money can't buy a good team. And, to a degree, yes, I agree. Of course, that's the case. We know that. There's countless examples through sports history, but this team was not completely bought. There are a lot of homegrown players on this team and throughout this roster, and they showed last year that they could go to the NLCS. They showed in 2022 with, yes, some additions, but let's be honest, it was mostly Mark Canha, Eduardo Escobar, Starling Marte in the first year of his contract with the team, and of course, the big one, Max Scherzer, but that was, for the most part, also a homegrown team. So I don't like that people say you can't buy a team. Let's also not forget the Mets re-signed Brandon Nimmo to a very large contract after he became a free agent in 2022. Let's not forget they did the same with Edwin Diaz after the 2022 season, that they gave Pete Alonso somewhere north of $25 million this year. I think 30 for this year. So to say the Mets have bought this team and you can't buy championships, well, you just looked, that was probably almost $100 million of average annual value that I just ripped off that the Mets had to give to homegrown players or had to give to guys that they acquired in a trade, such as Edwin Diaz. So I don't know if I buy the whole narrative. The Mets tried to buy a championship here. They had to shell out to keep some of the pieces that were already in place, and unfortunately, it just has not panned out for them. It's just been brutal. Jimmy James says, build around Soto and the young pitchers, cut everyone else. We need new life. Well, I am on record here saying I do not want to see Francisco Lindor traded. I think Lindor is having a really rough year. He's had some good. He's had some bad. It seems the bad has outweighed the good for the most part. It's been underwhelming coming off the season he had in 2024. So for me, it's Soto, Lindor. I think Pete's gone. Nimmo, as much as it would pain me to see it, I would not put it out of the question to see Brandon Nimmo traded this offseason. It would really hurt to see that happen because he has just been such a great embodiment of this organization since they drafted him in 2011. But the guy is getting older. He continues to be streaky. And if it brought something back that could help this team, I would not be opposed to having Brandon Nimmo shipped out this offseason. So we shall see. We shall see, guys. Red Bear says this team lacks intelligence and intellect. Iglesias and JD are intelligent and intellectual players. There's no one on this team that comes off as intelligent and intellectual. And, we heard Francisco Lindor say maybe a month or two ago how much the team misses JD Martinez. And I think he meant in the sense of almost being a second hitting coach in the dugout for them and having that veteran presence. Who has it on this team? I mean, I thought Lindor had really stepped into his own as the leader of this team. You knew it wouldn't be Soto just because it's his first season back, or first season with the Mets here. But Pete Alonso doesn't scream leader to me. Brandon Nimmo definitely does, but, I don't know how much of a rah-rah guy he is. So I'm with you, man. I think they needed a veteran guy like that in the form of JD Martinez or Jose Iglesias from last year, Red Bear Fox. Alonso's a dumbass ogre. He says Lindor is the same canned response as Vientos, somehow a dumb blonde. Alvarez may have a slight mental disability, and it goes on and on. Oh my gosh, we're falling apart here, guys. We are falling apart. Prime OG, in this position, I'd rather see the Mets stay out of contention for a playoff spot. This team doesn't have the caliber of pitchers needed to compete. It's that simple. I mean, it is, man. In the bullpen, in the rotation. And again, I say it's just too much to put on 3 rookies here to expect them to, be able to carry this team while the veterans have all faltered there. So I'm with you, man. I'm with you there, Prime. I don't know if missing the playoffs is going to wake them up, because I think they already realized that they're in total disarray. They as in the front office and Steve Cohen. So I think there's going to be major changes regardless of what the Mets do in the playoffs. I mean, if the Mets went on a miracle run and somehow won the World Series here in 2025, okay, if that somehow actually happened, I still think there would be major changes to this core next year. I still think we will see a massive overhaul to this team's roster next season, because you don't go 3, now nearly 4 complete months of the year playing the way they have without understanding that there is a critical issue within this team's bones. Kodai Senga pitched a AAA game today, 6 innings, 1 run, 3 hits. That's nice to see, I suppose. Whatever, if it even matters at this point. Let's see. Absol says, maybe bad strategy on Cohen's part. Should have kept the better phrase, Tony. Oh, yeah. Strategy. Okay, that's okay. I hear you there, Absol. Thank you. Let's see. Jimmy James says, I like Lindor too. He's my favorite Met, but if it makes the team better somehow just to shake things up, then so be it. Man, I don't think anyone's off limits, of course, outside of Juan Soto. And part of that is because I don't think any team would really touch the contract that the Mets gave him this offseason. But I'm not talking total blow it up rebuild here. I am just saying, don't be surprised if Pete is gone. Don't be surprised if you hear Nimmo's name come up in trade rumors this year. 2 guys I would love to see the Mets target, Kyle Schwarber and Kyle Tucker this offseason. I don't think that they're going to get either of them, if I'm being completely honest. But the Mets need to find something different, because this just ain't working. This just ain't it, as the kids say. Red Bear, Tony, we've discussed this. Lindor has 3 bad seasons as a Met. This isn't just a one-time bad season. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's not a Lindor season like we saw from him last year, but 263 average, 787 OPS. I mean, you're not going to find many shortstops around baseball that do that. And I would say that give you Gold Glove defense, but he has not been a Gold Glove defender this year. We know that. Most errors in his career this season. And I do wonder if the broken toe in Los Angeles has anything to do with it, because it truly does seem like from that point on, Francisco Lindor has just been a totally different player, and for all of the wrong reasons. But I'm not ready to give up on Lindor. If a trade came through that definitely made this team better, then yeah, of course I'd be open to it. I'd be open to it with anybody on this roster at this point. But I think it's hard to find someone of Lindor's caliber. Jimmy James says, oh yeah, and Cape Diaz, he probably won't stay here though. Why would you? Yeah, well, he's opting out. So the Mets are going to have to pony up. We'll see what happens there. He's having a great season again. I do question how many more good seasons does Diaz have with that fastball velocity that we have already seen dip from year to year. I would love to keep Diaz, but it's definitely a risk if you're going to keep him here for 3 or 4 more years. Is he going to continue to be this dominant? Do you see him eventually moving roles down the line, maybe by year 3 or 4 of that contract? And is that something that he's willing to accept? But at the end of the day, guys, and I've said this before, this team needs to develop some pitching. And we know what we're getting here in the rotation now, or at least we hope we are going to get it out of Sproat, McNeil, and Tong. But can the Mets develop a reliever? Who is the last reliever that the Mets have developed? No joke. I cannot think of it off the top of my head. I guess it would be Yuris Familia, who fizzled out, obviously. Blew the 2015 World Series, or was a huge part of it at least. But other than that, and it might just be escaping me and I'm missing an obvious one, tell me, who's the last reliever that the New York Mets have developed that came up from their farm system and has been a stalwart in their bullpen for years? Because I can't think of really any. Drew Smith? Does that count? Mr. Point for a fly ball when it's over the wall, actually. Prime OG says the funny thing is the playoffs already started for the Mets. With about 16 games left to play, they need to win 6 out of the next 8 games at home to stay somewhat alive. I don't even know if that's good enough, man. I mean, they might just then go on the road and lose to the Cubs and lose to the Marlins because they're a terrible road team. They have been a terrible overall team no matter where they play. It could be on Mars. They could play offense, take their at-bats on the moon, and hit balls into orbit with 0 gravity, and they would still find a way to lose. So I just don't know how it gets turned around. David Diaz, I'd rather get Cease and King. Pitching will work wonders. They definitely need pitching. I am totally open to both of those names, and that's what leads me to believe I wouldn't be surprised to see Clay Holmes and David Peterson on the trade block this offseason. Obviously, no one's touching Kodai Senga or Sean Manaea at this point, I wouldn't think. So I am open to both Holmes and Peterson being moved this offseason. I think most teams would have some trepidation with Clay Holmes and wonder, how do we use him? Do we convert him back to a reliever or keep him as a starter? But in the case of Peterson, I could see that being a trade that brings something back of value to the Mets. But of course, they got to make room for these young kids if they do, in fact, believe in them with Tong, Sprout, McNeil. Let's see. Red Bear Fox, Mets are the Dolphins of Major League Baseball, and it sucks because I'm a Dolphins fan. Don't give me that, Red Bear. I mean, I know you guys haven't won a playoff game in 25 years, but I'm a freaking Jets fan, man. Come on. It doesn't get any worse than this. Mets and Jets and Knicks to add on top of it. Come on. No one's got it worse than me. I dare you. I got it the worst, man. David says Rick Aguilera was started, then became elite closer. Of course, John Schmaltz as well. So we'll see. And typically that's the road the path that these pitchers take in the minors. They're starters and then they don't have enough pitches, or maybe they don't have the stamina and they become closers. So I wouldn't be surprised if that ever happened. But really, I can't think of a reliever that the Mets have developed. He says, Red Bear says, relievers typically aren't developed, Tony. They're failed starters. Exactly right. That's what I'm saying. They're usually failed starters, but that still stands to my point. The Mets don't even have any starters that just weren't good enough to be starting pitchers, but turned into really good relievers. Name me one. Like, that is an indictment on this farm system, or maybe on the development in their farm system, that even a guy that had some good stuff, but maybe only with a 2-pitch mix, has never just landed in their lap as a competent relief pitcher. I mean, we can't just be constantly needing to shop for relief pitching, because we've seen it now. It doesn't work. Look at the 2025 Mets as the prime example. But you are correct. Yes, Red Bear Fox. It's not often that relievers come up through the minors. Yes, that is correct. Usually it is someone that was a failed starting pitching prospect. Jose Clay Holmes as a starter is a lousy experiment. Look, I give him credit. He gave it a shot. He was pretty solid the first few months, and the last few months now since have been bad. And honestly, I blame the Mets more for continuing to push him in the starter role instead of having him go back to the bullpen. I think it would have helped the bullpen, and I think it would have helped the starting rotation. But David Stearns is smarter than all of us, right, guys? Madeline Schmidt, just awful. You took the words right out of my mouth, Madeline. It is an embarrassment, a joke. There are no more words to be said. I am running out of steam with this team. In fact, I probably actually already have. It has just been embarrassing to watch this team. They are pathetic, in a word, is how I would put it. All right, guys, why don't we do this? I'm going to go over. Let's listen to what the guys have to say here real quick. We'll start with the manager, because really that's what I want to hear from. We'll hear from Tong and I guess Nimmo as well. So let's see what Mendy has to say. Carlos, on his message to Jonah Tong, don't really want to hear that. I'd rather hear what the hell is going on with your team, Mendy, and how are you going to change it? That's what I'd like to hear out of Mendoza. But I guess real quick, let's hear what Jonah Tong had to say about his performance tonight.
I mean, I didn't give the the start I for sure wanted, and definitely it hurts just knowing that they put some more stress on the bullpen and stuff like that. But.
Yeah, again, guys, I'm sorry. I can't just blame Tong, a 22-year-old kid, for not being practically perfect like he would have had to be for the Mets to win a game and end a 6-game losing streak. I'm sorry. It just doesn't seem fair to me, and I know it's a terrible performance, and I know it's probably killing him inside, but the Mets have not pulled their weight. The rest of this roster, specifically the veterans that are getting paid buku freaking bucks. So let's hear again from him.
A little emotional right now. I mean, obviously this is a lot to put onto your shoulders.
Like he was going to cry.
Double A a few weeks ago. I guess...
He looks like he's going to cry. He looked like he was about to cry when Gelbs was saying that. Watch this again. And he looks like it right now here in this freeze frame.
Tell you're a little emotional right now. I mean, obviously this is a lot to...
Or maybe a laugh.
To put onto your shoulders just in Double A a few weeks ago. I guess, how are you kind of processing this jump that you're making and how difficult some of it may be?
It's just life. So, I mean, take it one step at a time, and I'm always grateful for opportunities, so I'm, yeah.
I mean, you tell you're...
Yeah, it's bad. And we got some scummy Philly fans in the chat. Otto Kemp, the scrub, with another 2-hit RBI performance tonight. Guys, Otto Kemp, the pumpkin, will return soon enough. We will see the Phillies choke in the playoffs like they always do. Bilbo Swaggins, enjoy the magic carpet ride until it comes to a crashing end like it always does for that city and for that franchise. Otto Kemp will be a footnote in Major League Baseball history. Enjoy. All right, let's see. Red Bear says, Holmes as a starter is not a failed experiment. Him throwing way more innings than ever before is a failure. He will remain a starter next year, and the Mets will work to stretch him out more. I mean, I just feel like there are more and now better options than Holmes, and so for that reason, I think having him in the bullpen would benefit this team more personally, but it's not a failed experiment by any means. He just is more than double the amount of innings that he had ever thrown in a single season before, of course, being a reliever for the majority of that. So I cannot say it's a failed experiment either. I am in agreement. We're in lockstep there, Red Bear Fox. But I am very open to the idea of him transitioning back to the bullpen if we do believe that we have Tong, McNeil, Sproat as stalwarts in this rotation moving forward. Obviously, Tong does not inspire much confidence in that department here tonight. But Brandon Nimmo, because I don't want to hear a word from Jacob deGrom, Mr. No Personality. But to hear what Nimmo has to say about the Mets' playoff chances that continue to fade. By the way, guys, Giants are leading the Dodgers 1-0. Yay, great. Might be tied. And the Reds are losing 1-0 last I checked to Oakland. So West Sacramento, whatever, the Athletics. All right, here's Nimmo.
What is the concern level? Yeah, I mean, obviously, very concerned. We want to be in the playoffs, and we're not playing playoff baseball right now. But got to come into tomorrow expecting things to change, and keep giving it your best effort. So no one's going to feel sorry for you. No one's going to back down, and you got people chasing you. So we just got to come in tomorrow and be ready to try and go 1-0 tomorrow.
Yeah, if this is your best effort, man, geez, I don't want to see your guys' lousiest, worst effort because this is embarrassing. Bilbo Swaggins, 1986. Bilbo, you have 2 World Series in 140 years of futility as an organization. You guys could not win a World Series before the color barrier. You could not win a World Series before the women's rights movement. You could not win a World Series when there were only 10 teams in the league. You are an embarrassment to baseball, and the Phillies organization is as well. So you can enjoy trying to troll us, but we know the Phillies are one of the losingest and most pathetic franchises in Major League Baseball. Thank you. Red Bear or Stanley Babbage. Tony, I don't know what's tougher, being a Cowboys or a Mets fan. Dude, at least the Cowboys had 3 straight 12-win seasons. At least the Cowboys are perennially in the playoffs. The Mets, on the other hand, come on, man. But they're both pretty rough. They are both rough. They both blue ball the hell out of their fans. There is no doubt about that. It's always this can't possibly go wrong. and then it comes crashing down. So I feel your pain, man. At least, again, hey, you're not a Jets fan like me, right? So you got that going at least. Jose Lopez says, the hated Phillies better go all the way because the starting players are getting old, okay? Yeah, that Phillies team is playing out of their mind right now. They will come crashing back down to earth like they always do. We will see it again. How short a memory that they have just a few weeks ago getting swept at Citi Field. Now, all of a sudden, they start winning some games, and now they're going to the World Series, and there's this perennial, amazing title contending team. Sure thing. Guys, it's pathetic. 2 straight games now with 5 hits. They score all their runs in the third and then do absolutely nothing the rest of the way. DeGrom gets through 7. It is just getting worse and worse by the day, you guys. I think this is where we're going to wrap it up. I am ready to have baseball off the mind. I am going to do literally anything else but watch and listen or read about Major League Baseball at this moment. But appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. Guys, if you've not left this video a like, go ahead and do that right now. Thank you so much. We're going to be back with another post-game recap tomorrow. We'll see if it's the Mets ending their 7-game losing streak or if it builds to 8. We will find out where they are in the National League Wildcard standings by that time as well. But that is going to do it for tonight, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm Tony Metro. Until next time, stay true to the orange and blue.